Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, The Redheaded Crafter. My name is Ashley and I am so excited you're here. In today's video, we will be making some fall inspired DIYs with mostly Dollar Tree items. So if that's something that you are interested in, you could also follow me on Instagram and Facebook under The Redheaded Crafter as well. So with all that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay, today our first project, we're going to take these clipboards from Michael's and remove the clipboard part to make it just the wood plaques. Then flip them over and we're going to be adding some 1 gallon paint stir sticks to the back. Now I'm going to use some hot glue and wood glue, making sure not to mix the two. I just added my wood glue to these squeeze bottles from Dollar Tree, and it worked out perfect. I had more control of the glue. You could see I put a line of wood glue and then a bead of hot glue on each side of the wood glue and then stuck down the paint stir sticks. If you do not have any paint stir sticks on hand, you can use the large craft sticks as well. I filled the holes with some spackle, then I attached my legs. Now these came from Hobby Lobby, I believe. But you can use anything you want. These just had a flat surface, so I put wood glue in the middle, hot glue on the outside. Then I noticed that we still needed a little support, so I took a set of 4 high Jenga blocks and glued them on each side and in the middle. We're going to make some faux stain out of the antique Waverly wax, a little bit of ink, and some water. Mix that up real well and you have a nice faux stain. It's like a dark walnut color. I love it. We're going to paint our tray, and I painted the top, the sides, the feet, and the bottom. I painted it all. Once we're done painting and it's dry, we sand it, distress it with sandpaper. Done each plank and all around the edges, you know. Then I took this tea light mason jar and the pumpkin scented pine cones, dumped them pine cones in the very bottom, and then took this thrifted ball jar from Goodwill and oh my gosh, hot glued this ribbon around the top part. Then made a little bouquet out of some Walmart picks. I popped off those pumpkins and then just took 2 picks and intertwined them together. I painted those tea lights black with the ink by Waverly because they looked awful bright in those candle tea light holders. The next project is one of my favorites from today. I found these houses at Target Dollar Spot and I loved them. Now, this could be two-sided because I only worked with one side of the houses. I took the scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby and kind of coordinated. Oh my goodness. I matched it up together. Pressed my fingers down and made an indentation in the paper, or outline in the paper. Cut out those scrapbook paper. White Waverly chalk paint on the middle, and then Mod-Podge the scrapbook paper on the other two. Now you guys, this is just inspiration. You can use any scrapbook paper or any colors that you want. I just inspire. I'm here to inspire you guys and hopefully lift you up. I appreciate each and every one of you. My channel has grown a little, and I just wanted to say thank you. I made a swag out of some boxwood greenery with some jute. Then I distressed each one of these with the Elephant Waverly chalk paint. And then I just had fun embellishing each one of the houses with something different and adding texture and cuteness. The jute I put on this one, I done in kind of an X formation, hot gluing each corner of that X in the back so it doesn't come unraveled. And make sure you keep the jute tight as you're wrapping it. I know you could do this with some scrap wood, and I don't know how you would get the chimneys, but I'm sure we could figure out something. So if you can't find these houses at Target Dollar Spot, don't be afraid to work with wood and a little miter box. It's pretty cheap, maybe around $10 or $12 at Walmart, and it really will up your game. I made a jute bow and glued it to that house. Then I took some raffia, wrapped it around my finger, took another piece of extra raffia and tied it around the middle of that. Make sure your loops are even, then pull it tight. Cut off your excess raffia and you have a cute little raffia bow. Glue it to your house, and then I thought the swag needed something, so I made a little bow out of that ticking stripe ribbon from Dollar Tree. Here's how they turned out. Next, I made a garland using about 4 of the garlands from Dollar Tree. I just added them together. I added them together with some floral wire, and then I added some extra things in. But just take that floral wire, tie it around, wrap it around, cut off the excess, go down a little section, then wrap it around again, tie it off, go down a section, and keep doing that until you have them together. You can make them long, but I just made mine probably the same length that it was. I just add them all together to make it look fuller. Once I had all 4 of the garlands together how I wanted them, I had fun embellishing them, making them, look fuller. Then we're going to start dressing up this little skimpy piece of corn. I made a raffia bow by making 2 loops and tying them together like a shoestring, then adjusting the loops. I also added some corn husk to the top of this piece of corn because it had one little piece. I just took a little bunch of raffia, then tied it to the top of the piece of corn with some jute, wrapped the jute around and around, tied it off, and cut it. I gave the raffia a little haircut and started with our bow. Cut 2 strips of ribbon and glue them in a loop. I cut a slit on either side of the ribbon, then tied a piece of jute around it, making sure the jute catches in between those slits. After that, I made a tail by cutting the same 2 ribbons and then hot gluing them together and then to the bow. I glued the ribbon where I wanted it to lay. I took a jute bow, glued that in the middle, and then glued all of that to the raffia, and then glued that to the piece of corn. And here's how it turned out. Our next project, we're going to take these galvanized metal pumpkins I got from Walmart. They were $5.88, and I believe you get 5 large ones and 5 small. I started by taking them off of the jute and then taking a pair of side cutters and pulling off that metal clip on the back that they use to hang the pumpkins. Then I took my rotary blade, and I don't think that this done anything, but I just wanted to show you what I thought and done. But I just scored it down the middle, not cutting through it or anything, just trying to make a crease so it would be easier to bend the pumpkins like in half. Now here's me doing a smaller one. I just took the rotary blade right down the middle, then gently bend them not all the way in half, but you know, like 3/4 of the way shut. Then run a bead of hot glue down the middle of your pumpkin, and you have to work quickly because it dries quickly. And then glue 1 bent pumpkin on that side, then turn it over and do another line of hot glue and put on another bent piece of pumpkin. So then you have a 3D whole pumpkin. Can you see what I'm doing? Hot glue, a folded pumpkin, another line of hot glue, and the other folded pumpkin. So you're using 3 pumpkins per pumpkin, if that makes sense. Then here we get to start jazzing it up a little bit. I'm going to take some jute and wrap it around the stem of that pumpkin, then put some hot glue and put on a piece of a Jenga block, just half of one. When that sticks, I'm going to gently wrap up the twine all the way to the top of that Jenga block so I can have a stem for my pumpkin. Now I brought in a few different textures to these pumpkins. Here we're placing vine of that berry garland from the Dollar Tree and a couple of pine cones. I hot glued those, and then I took a piece of boxwood greenery and glued one to the little pumpkin and a larger piece to the larger pumpkin. Here's how they turn out, and I hope you guys like them. The next project, we are using a sign from the Dollar Tree. It doesn't really matter which one. Then the color your own ornament pumpkin, little wooden pumpkin cutouts, and 2 dowels for 97 cents from Walmart. I start off by measuring the sides, how long I need the dowels to be, mark them and cut them with the miter shears. These are really easy to use, and I really suggest having them in your arsenal of crafts supplies, tools, craft tools. Here I'm just showing you that the long pieces are 14 inches and the shorter pieces are 8 1/4 inches. Remove all your stickers and paper. I had trouble with this sign. It did not want to come off. Ugh. And of course my kids lost my scrapers, so I was just using what I had. The rotary blade it was. I removed the paper too, and it was easier to get off than that sticker was. I got my sanding sponge out and sanded everything down so I had a smooth surface to work with. Covered these holes with some spackle from Dollar Tree, and then gave it a couple of coats of the Rust-Oleum Chiffon Cream chalk paint. I just want to thank you guys for sticking around with me. I know I'm not nothing that special or great, but I love doing this and I love connecting with you guys here on YouTube and Instagram as well. So I am on Instagram under the Red Hat Crafters, so check me out over there. I would greatly appreciate it. I made my faux stain from the Waverly Antique Wax ink by Waverly, some water. It makes that dark walnut stain. After I stained the dowel pieces, I did go ahead and stain 2 of those pumpkins cutouts from Dollar Tree as well. Then we're going to wipe off any excess stain and set those to dry. Once they were dry, I did go ahead and add some jute to the stems, just with some hot glue and, of course, jute. Go ahead and just wrap those all the way to the top, then tack the end of the jute with some hot glue and cut off the excess. Go ahead and cut my wording out so I could place it down on my sign how I wanted to. Now I did lose footage, but here's how I'm going to place everything down just with hot glue. But yeah, I took cashew from Waverly and just dry brushed lightly the ribs of the pumpkin onto that wooden cutout. Half your line from the top, then go to the bottom and bring the rest of your line up to meet in the middle. That's how I found it to be easiest, because I'm not a painter. I like to paint, but I'm not the best at it. I did make the ribs of the pumpkin and then I dry brushed like the outside of it. If you make any mistakes, it's really easy to fix with some of your stain. Just take another paintbrush and get a little bit of your stain on there and then put your stain where your mistake was. Up next, we are going to add our frame. So take a little bit of your wood glue and then just a couple lines of hot glue. Don't mix them. And I started with my top and bottom pieces first, and then you add in your sides. I did add a couple clips just to help it hold. Then I add my bottom piece of my frame just like I done the top, and then you can add your side pieces. There is no footage of the side pieces because I lost that, but once that was set up, I started adding my words to my sign, and we had a little bit of trouble with this as well. So pumpkin patch goes on pretty smoothly. So the P in the middle, in between M and K, goes down at 7 inches. Then varnish your word really well, and then start removing your transfer tape. Here I'm showing you that P is at 7 inches, so the T is going to go at 7 inches as well. Varnish your word and then remove your transfer tape. Any problem areas, just rub it on a little and it should come right up. Here's the issue. I could not get this to stick no matter what I done, no matter how hard I rubbed. It was pulling up my paint. I don't know what happened in that area. if the paint just did not cure. I don't know. It would not stick whatsoever, so I had to scrap that idea. I wanted to show you my mess up. So I'm just removing that vinyl, and then I did paint over it and just glue down the pumpkins. I lost the footage, but anyways, I fixed it. So here is how it turns out. I hope you guys like it as much as I do. I had a lot of fun creating this stuff, and I hope you got inspired. Bye!